What is up, Nuggets? It's your boy, Killer Pizza, here with a brand new video for you rascals and rapscallions out there. First of all, I want to apologize for not putting out a video last Sunday. I try to put them out every Sunday at noon, but to be quite honest, I suffered a bit of a in-ring injury wrestling a little bit ago, and I didn't have anything lined up for that Sunday. When it came time to record something, I was just kind of feeling out of it and just kind of wanted to relax. But the good news is, I'm feeling a lot better, and we're here with another video. So enough of that stupid talk. Let's get into what we're here for, to talk some fucking horror movies. And we got a good one today. This is 1988's The House on Tombstone Hill, written and directed by James Rifle. So I've never heard of this movie before, but it's a Vinegar Syndrome release, which they're quickly becoming one of my favorite boutique labels right now, probably right behind Scream Factory and Arrow Video. And it's a slasher that takes place in the 80s, so I was all about it. So I checked this out a couple nights ago, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed this movie. It was a lot of fun. Let me just give you guys a little bit of a plot. Pretty much, some bad things happen at this house 40 years prior to a group of like college kids, young kids showing up. There's 4 guys, 2 girls, and one of the guys bought this house, this big like mansion. I wouldn't say a mansion, but it's a pretty damn big house. And the plans are they're going to go there and fix this place up, and it's going to become their like getaway little vacation party kind of chill pad for everybody to hang out in. And we get into this place, and it's a beat up mansion, and these kids, when they start trying to fix this place up, encounter this old woman who just appears in the house, and they're creeped out by it. And then quickly after, it turns kind of into like a ghost movie in a way too. So this is kind of like a slasher with elements of like a ghost story, because all these kids get locked inside this house and they can't escape, and one by one these kids start getting picked off by this like evil ghostly grandma that came back from the grave. So kind of a basic but fun idea here, where a slasher supernatural kind of deal, which isn't like nothing new. We're not reinventing the wheel here, but it was a lot of fun. What I really liked about this movie right off the bat is these characters are really good. They're not the best actors in the world, but I mean, there's levels to this stuff. I've seen some really bad acting, and I thought these characters were fun. You got all your typical characters. You got like the loudmouth jerk, kind of like the stronger, like nice guy, the manly man, and then you got like this passive guy that's kind of a nerd, and then the main guy who you think is going to be the main guy. And then a couple of the girls that are their girlfriends. Not too crazy with their personalities here. I mean, one girl's personality trait is she's just a bitch, which I don't know. I thought something funny. This is a side note. You ever notice, like in some of these older movies, like the '80s movies, you'll have that typical guy that's like a dick, but then the girl that's like supposed to counter them, like, "Why you being such a jerk?" They're always like such a complete bitch back. So it's like, is there a positive and negative charge of what's worse, the guy that's an asshole or the girl that's a complete drag? But I digress. I really like these characters and how they interacted with each other. And our first look at this like killer, this old lady, first of all, it's kind of funny because it's clearly a guy in like old woman makeup. And it's kind of funny looking, but at the same time very like eerie in a way. Like, it creeped me the fuck out. If I was a kid and I seen like this old woman in the movie, it would be very scary. They boot this woman out. She takes off. It's kind of a lackluster first meeting, but they end up getting locked into this house. And this is when it starts to get fun, because I won't lie, like the first act of this movie does drag a little bit. That's like the main thing I've heard a lot of people complaining about. But I didn't think it was that bad, because like I said, the characters are kind of fun. Certain scenes of them like trying to get in the front door in the beginning drags on a little more, but like I've seen some movies that drag ass. If you've ever seen the second act in Prowler, for how good of a movie that is, it's like, man, that really drags. But anyways, they're locked in this house. It's like supernatural stuff. Like I said, they can't get the windows open, they can't bust the windows, they can't get in and out of the doors, so they're pretty much going room to room, like trying to escape. And then one of the girlfriends finds her boyfriend's been murdered. There's blood all over the place upstairs, which is pretty crazy. And then the old woman starts talking to her, and this is creepy as shit. She's like, "Your boyfriend's dead. I know, because I killed him." And she just walks off, and then This girlfriend discovers her boyfriend dead. And this is kind of a fun part about all these kills because kind of like this movie's kind of similar in a way to Night of the Demons in the sense they're in this house that gets they get locked in the house, and then every person that gets killed off kind of comes back to life as a zombie or a demon, and then they're, after the remaining victims, not as good as Night of the Demons, obviously. It's a lot different in tone, but that plot point is similar, I guess, if I could relate it to anything. But what I like about when each character comes back from the dead or whatever, for one, the way they got killed is like, with the practical effects, is like still going on. If you have a arrow through your chest, it's still through your chest or whatever, for example. But all the characters have completely different personality traits, where like one guy might be a little wimpy and passive. When he comes back, he's kind of like sarcastic and got a lot of puns and a lot of, you guys know what I mean, which is kind of actually impressive by these actors. But anyways, the main thing that makes this movie really cool is the gore effects. If you're someone that likes gore like me, this movie is so much fun. I don't want to give everything away. Just like, for example, there's one guy that gets left out of the house in the beginning because he runs back to get beer. And when he's climbing back up, he's climbing into the second story window to get in, and this old, like grandma, old lady that kills him off, chops off his, like, not his whole hands, but like by the, like right above the wrist almost, like. And when he falls back off the second story or whatever, just the effects on like his severed hands just looks kind of cool. It didn't look like cartoony, like, or generic. Even some of the best horror movies, when you see like a decapitation or a missing limb, it's just like a straight cut or whatever. And there could be good gore in low budget movies and it just looks like blood spraying. But this was done a little differently and it looks really good. And that's like the main theme with all these practical effects, which is a reason to watch this alone. So yeah, we get a little backstory in here later where we hear 40 years ago, the old woman that's the ghost on Tombstone Hill now got stabbed 37 times by her husband or something. Then she kills him or something. She goes to the hospital and comes back, and the neighbor comes to check on her, and she stabs him 37 times and then dies like a week later. And earlier in the movie, one of the kids sees a tombstone out front and house on Tombstone Hill and knocks it over. And I guess that's what kind of summons this grandma or whatever. Yeah, overall, I thought this movie was a lot of fun. I guess the biggest critique you could give this is that it does drag in certain aspects, but like I said, the characters are likable, and yeah, it just, that for me doesn't make it drag. Like, if the dialogue and the chemistry between the characters is kind of in a slower moment, I'm still like interested in it. You know what I mean? My favorite character for sure was like the bully, the asshole of the group. This guy's hilarious. He had so many funny lines in this movie, like when they first find out that this old lady's around killing everyone, because they don't go into the frenzy until like the boyfriend in the beginning's killed, and her, like I explained, and his girlfriend runs back, and she tells everybody what's going on. Then they start barricading and trying to get out. But I digress. I really like this asshole dude. He's giving everybody weapons at one point, and he's like, "Everybody grab a weapon." He's got an accent. I want to do like a New York accent at this point, but a classic like 80s bad guy macho way of talking. He's like, "Everybody grab a weapon. We need to defend ourselves in case she comes back." And he points to this other guy. He's like, "Look, she's got a club. That will work great." And it cuts to this girl behind him, and she's got just like a 2x4, and she's just like practicing swinging with this funny look on her face. Like, just like picturing how she's gonna take out a ghost or a goblin or whatever. And then there's another funny scene later where one of the girls gets taken out, and really cool effects. She's got like the way the blood is on her face and her teeth, and her hair's all messed up, but she's sitting there with her back to them coming to check on her, and they realize that she's possessed or dead or coming back. She's one of these other things like their other friends, and it's just a cool shot to see their reactions behind her without being able to see her face. And this asshole guy, again, one of my other favorite moments, he just picks up like a golf club or a pipe or something, and he just rocks her, and the other people are just almost shocked he just went at her like that, but right when he hits her, he's like, "Bitch!" So that had me laughing. Yeah, this gave me like vibes of some of the like vampires and like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like the movie Vamp or something. When they kind of a lot of like vampires, or like when they come back and they still have some personalities and they have jokes to them and everything, which was kind of fun to add that element of comedy in here. We have a lot of fighting scenes where they're fighting off these their friends that come back from the dead, and like a lot of actually kind of cool fight scenes, if I'm being quite honest. But I enjoyed this. This was cheese. This wasn't like to the level of cheese of like Microwave Massacre or something like that, or some other trauma releases. So like if you want stuff played a little more straight, you know, not to say this is a really serious movie, but it's not completely slapstick. It's pretty traditional and like the 80s slasher vibe, and they do a couple things different. So it's kind of like if you like slashers and 80s horror movies, it's got like the comfort zone feel of a classic horror movie from the 80s, but it does have a little more of that cheese and just a nice touch to it. I don't know what I can really put my finger on about this. I just really liked it. I was pleasantly surprised. To be quite honest, when I seen this was distributed through Troma. Troma released this back in the day. It's not a Troma movie, but I love Troma to death, but some stuff they put out is just too Monty Python-ish slapstick for me. I like humor, but I like a little realism, if that makes sense, when we're talking about a movie with a killer grandma that comes back. There's a scene where a guy literally gets cut in half, then he comes back to life. He's in one piece and could just walk around, but I try not to be cynical about parts of movies like that. But anyways, that's another confusing thing about this movie. It was originally called The Dead Come Home, but right here in this release, it's The House on Tombstone Hill. And then for the Troma release, they released it as Dead Dudes in the House. And this kind of has a house party kind of vibe to it. And I guess they advertised it as like, they all have these weapons in their hands. Like kind of like how Scary Movie was for like my generation. It looks like that's how they tried to advertise it, which though this has some funny parts to it, it's really nothing like that. And a whole nother slip on the other side, which is something cool. I love when boutique labels do that. So, and I believe the original slipcover that came with this said The Dead Come Home. And then we have the house on the tombstone on this side, and then the inside is the original title of Dead Dudes in the House. And the DVD that comes with it actually has the Dead Dudes in the House on it. So that's kind of cool. It's got like, it's literally printed up and distributed in like 3 different titles, which you don't see. Yeah, I'd highly suggest checking this out if you're like a pure horror fan. If you're just a casual horror fan, I'm not sure if this will be for you, because if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you'll know it's kind of a niche channel because I don't really watch much new horror. Not a big fan. I just like 70s, 80s, 90s stuff the most. But I would recommend this. This is another great Vinegar Syndrome release. They are doing good things. Like I was saying before, they're probably my number 3 right now behind Arrow Video and Scream Factory when Scream comes out with those beautiful collector's editions. But yeah, I highly suggest anybody checking this out. Well, I just contradicted myself right away. I'm a little rusty, guys. Sorry. But yeah, if you're game, check this out. If you're like into horror, even though if you are casual, I'm sure you would find enjoyment out of this. But it's kind of more of a hardcore horror fan movie. It's free on Tubi right now. I checked it out. So if you want to watch it, no excuses. Check this one out. It was a lot of fun. But other than that, guys, I got to plug in the podcast, the VHS Days podcast. That's VHS Days, DAZE. That's me and Nick Baker hosting a channel where we talk about movies from the VHS days, the video store days. It's not just horror. We do all types of movies. We just had a 2-part episode of Jurassic Park come out, right before the new one, Dominion, came out. So that's pretty fun. Make sure you check that out on Spotify. And yeah, leave any suggestions in the comment section. As you guys know, I'm always down to check out any horror you guys will suggest to me. Like literally, if you, like anybody who suggests anything to me, like I'll check it out because I don't get that many suggestions. So if you give me one, like I'll check it out and I'll review it for you. Apparently, unless it's Cabin in the Woods, I know my good friend Pope is still mad at me because I was going to review that one and then I just sat back and enjoyed watching it and never filmed a review. But, anyways, that's a whole nother story. But, yeah, so if you got any suggestions, let me know. If you've seen this one before, let me know what your favorite part is. Let me know what you guys are watching, you know. Other than that, hope everybody's doing good. What else do I got going on? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to plug here. Oh, I know on the 3rd, the day before 4th of July, so July 3rd, I'm going to put out a little Return of the Living Dead video because we all know that is Return of the Living Dead Day. Not sure what I'll do for next video next Sunday, but yeah, stay tuned, guys. Other than that, Blood Guts Gore. I'll check you next time.